Trinity Baptist Church. I hope you're doing well. I'm looking at my planner right now, kind of seeing what I've got going on for the month, the week, the year. That's one good thing about planners. You can write them down and hopefully remember where your planner's at and not forget these things. I know on the 11th we have of March, Josiah has his heart surgery, so we've got that marked down. So I'll be out for a week or two on that, spending time with him. We got spring break following that. I know in February, on Friday the 12th, a friend of mine, Jessica, had a birthday. And I'm looking here back through February. Oh, and I realized I've got a Bible study to turn in to Matthew for Wednesday morning. So I guess I'm glad I wrote it down here. Now I remembered it. So here we go. We're going to look in Matthew 26, 2-5. About plans. Most of us make plans and they're for good, like for the future events, like writing down our friends' birthdays or things like that. However, we're going to look at the religious leaders during Jesus' time. They planned an event, but it was for evil. However, God used it for his glory. So let's look at Matthew's take on the Pharisees planning Jesus' arrest that would ultimately lead to his death on the cross. So Matthew 26, 2-5. So turn with me. As you know, the Passover is 2 days away, and the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified. Then the chief priest and the elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they schemed to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. But not during the festival, they said, or there may be a riot among the people. So, why do the Pharisees seem motivated to arrest Jesus now? So as I looked through my calendar, I got to see some holidays that were in there, like Christmas. We just celebrated President's Day on Monday. So the religious leaders had a big holiday called Passover that was coming up. We see Matthew 26, verse 2 talk about it. In fact, it was only a couple days away. So what is Passover? So we're going to look in Exodus to kind of figure out what it is, because we need to kind of know what they're celebrating. So Exodus 12 and 13 says, and I guess kind of let you know what's going on. This is the final plague that Moses had told Pharaoh about, and it's the one that will get a hold of Pharaoh's attention real quick. So let's look at it. On the same night, I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both people and animal, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt. So we see kind of what Passover was celebrated for. It was the final plague that was going to strike fear of the God through Pharaoh's heart. Because Pharaoh was holding the Israelites hostage. Moses had went to him multiple times saying, let my people go, let my people go. Of course, I don't have a very good Charlton Heston voice, but I apologize on that. Let my people go. Okay. Pharaoh did not listen to God's chosen leader. After the bloody water, after the locusts, frogs, gnats, this was to show God's power over life and death. This last plague was. The people who used the blood of the lamb and placed it on their doorpost were covered from the angel of death, and that angel of death would pass over them. The holiday celebration was one every Jewish person's calendar. Just as Christmas is important holiday celebration for us Christians, Passover was very important to the Jewish people. So that's kind of setting up. People are coming into Jerusalem. So with this great celebration coming, as during Christmas time, we go to visit our family, and we all travel and go to certain places. Jews travel to Jerusalem. So historian Paul Myers, I really like him. He has a documentary called "The Week That Changed the World." Jerusalem swelled from a small village, kind of sleepy village of 50,000 people, to roughly 250,000, and then on the outskirts, even more. Throughout the Old Testament, Israel was waiting for a Messiah. They wanted someone to lead the people. We see that throughout the Old Testament. We have judges, we have prophets. So Israel is longing for a Messiah to lead them. But right now, Rome was over them. They wanted a leader to get them from the control of Rome. Rome didn't like revolution, and so as the Pharisees feared a revolution from a Masonic leader, a leader who was the Messiah, they didn't want anything to do with that. And so what they would do is they would squash any revolution, any talk of it, and they did it with merciless vigor. They didn't care who they hurt. Well, the religious leaders didn't want that to happen because they had a nice deal working out with Rome. They would lead the people, and by leading I mean they would basically ceremonially lead the people, and Rome would allow them to collect money and just have a good time in the temple. And as we saw Jesus from Sunday, Pastor David talked about, he cleared the temple. They were making money. They were, just basically abusing the people. And so they had something nice going on, and they didn't want to give that up. And so they needed to arrest and take over Jesus before he could do anything that would cause a revolution. So let's look at some opportunities that they may have had to arrest Jesus previously. We're going to look in John for that because we've been studying John for our Wednesday night Bible study. So if you haven't been making, we'd love to have you. And so we're going to look in John chapter 5. We're going to look at verse 18. For this reason they tried all the more to kill him. Not only was he breaking Sabbath, but he was even calling God his own Father, making himself equal with God. So we see that the religious leaders were ticked off because Jesus was saying he was God. And I've heard so many people in other conversations talk that Jesus never claimed he was God. Well, the religious leaders knew he did. They tried to kill him for it. So we do see that they had an opportunity. They tried to do it there. It wasn't his time. So let's look at John chapter 7 as well. We're going to look at a couple little sections there in John 25. At that point, some of the people of Jerusalem began to ask, "Isn't this the man they are trying to kill? Here he is, speaking publicly, and they are not saying a word to him. Have the authorities really concluded that he is the Messiah?" That's pretty funny because they're making fun of the religious leaders there. So let's go. In verse 30, at this they tried to seize him, but no one laid a hand on him because his hour had not yet come. So again, Jesus is ultimately in control of the situation. And then finally, we're going to look at verse 45 in chapter 7 as well, all the way through 46. Finally, the temple guards went back to the chief priest and the Pharisees, who asked them, again, this is the Pharisees asking the temple guards, "Why didn't you bring him in? No one has ever spoke the way this man does," the guards replied. Kind of again gives you a Barney Fife feel there, that they're like, well, this guy's speaking in ways that we've never heard before. So we see multiple opportunities where the Pharisees wanted to go after Jesus, but were unable to because, again, his time had not yet come. And so we're going to look back here at Matthew. Let's look at 3 and 4 again. And it says, the chief priests and elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they schemed to arrest Jesus secretly and kill him. So the religious leaders wanted to put a new plan in place because previously their plan was to ask Jesus a bunch of questions. Again, this plan was led by Caiaphas, the high priest, one interesting fact about him is in 1990, some construction workers were digging in the Jerusalem area and found ossuarium, which is basically like a casket, and it had Joseph Caiaphas' name inscribed in him, which is pretty cool because, again, that's putting physical evidence of people who not only mentioned in the Bible, but the Talmud, which is Jewish scriptures, some Jewish scriptures. And so it's a pretty neat deal to see Bible characters come to life by finding this great find. And again, these the diggers of all this stuff, they were pretty excited about it. So they had previously tried to catch Jesus with some series of tough questions. They tried to pin Jesus versus his followers to discredit him, to make him look stupid. Josiah's going to get on to me for saying stupid, but if he can't answer them correctly, then he'll look foolish, and he's not God as he had claimed he had been. Paul Myers calls these series of questions the famous press conferences of Jesus. So let's look at one of these conferences or questioning sessions that the religious leader tried to stump Jesus and see how he masterfully handles this. So we're going to look at Matthew 22. We're going to look at 15 through 22. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. "Teacher," they said, "we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth." I think they're trying to butter him up because it doesn't sound like they're being very, "So teacher, you're so smart and you're so great." I think Jesus sees right through him. So, "You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay an imperial tax to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, "You hypocrites! Why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax." They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, "Whose image is this? And whose inscription?" "Well, Caesar's," they replied. Then he said to them, "So give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." When they heard this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. So nobody likes to pay taxes. Not back then, not today. But Romans needed to pay taxes because they built the roads, they had armies. So the Pharisees thought they might have had him in a catch-22. Answer one way, tick off the Romans, which would probably lead to execution. Or answer the other way, and then tick off your followers. The religious leaders thought this was a win-win situation. And as we go back to our focal passage of Matthew 26, verse 5, it says, again, the Pharisees were gathered together, not during the festival, they said, or there may be riots among the people. They knew Jesus was popular. They knew he was speaking truth. But they didn't want to cause a riot. They didn't want to go into the synagogue and arrest Jesus because, again, who knows what would have happened. So they plotted and planned to get Jesus at the right time. They needed to work out the details. Well, do you make plans? And if so, what kind of plans? Are they plans that benefit maybe our selfish desires? Or are they things that help us in our relationship with Christ? These important plans that the religious people made were for evil. They wanted to attack an innocent man and arrest him and kill him. But God used them to bring about salvation for all people. So, as I look through my calendar and notice what's going on this week, I see important things that I need to get done. So please take a moment after this video, or maybe sometime today, and look over your week and ask yourself, What's important to me? Well, that ends up our study on Jesus' being plotted to being arrested by the Pharisees. I hope you have a great week. Stay warm, stay safe. If the weather permits, I'll see you tonight at church. Again, we'll be in John chapter 10. However, if not, I'll see you Sunday morning. We should thaw out by then, where we're going to dig into Matthew 26, 6 through 13, which we'll see Jesus being anointed. See you soon.